All right, we're rolling. Cool. All right, Baba. So thank you for joining me here for this Zoom call. I appreciate you making the time to speak with me. Would love if you would kick this off by just sharing a little bit about who you are and what do you do?
Sure. Good morning, and thank you for having me. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
Wow, who am I and what do I do? So I am a girl going through a personal transformation and transition in my life. I've been in retail for about 20 years, and right now I sell perfume. I have a perfume. I have an online store that I'm working on developing some more products to sell on there and just working on a couple side projects. And wanting to really embrace my purpose, which I feel is to serve others, which I've explained to you before. I feel this, need to help others, but I now prefer to use the word serve. And just figuring out how do I do that and what is the best way that I do that, and just how do I be my best self, their best self.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember when we met up earlier this summer in Toronto, we had that conversation as you were telling me you were transitioning out of the retail business and you didn't really know what was next for you and you're kind of in this limbo stage. And, it was a great conversation. I think it was actually the first conversation we had in person because we know each other through social media, but it was, it was a great opportunity to hear about where you were at. And I remember we talked about there's, parallels in our lives between my career and then having that moment of realizing I don't really love what I'm doing anymore. And you shared the same thing about yourself because you had your store, a successful retail store on Queen Street in the heart of downtown Toronto for many, many years. And I remember you saying like you didn't really need to quit. You could have kept going, but something inside you was just like, okay, there's got to be more to life than this. And I remember you were saying that's what kind of inspired this personal journey of finding out what's next for you. So, when we spoke a few times and I had mentioned to you about this course and you were of interest in joining, what was it about the course that had you sign up? What was it that appealed to you?
It wasn't even the course necessarily, but it was you, truthfully. It was, following along your journey, and the more that you shared, because I'm not even somebody who really reads captions or follows anybody religiously, but you came up, like you were in my feed a lot. And, and I always thought, and we had connected even when I had the store, briefly, but I just wasn't looking for any assistance or guidance, so I didn't even look at you for that. We just connected. And then, when the pandemic hit, I would say, and I was really like in this transformative stage in my life, and I love to learn. I love to learn from other people. I love guidance. I love doing these type of things. And the reason I wanted to then be a part of yours was because your journey just resonated with me. You were somebody who I connected with, even though I don't consider myself somebody who reached your level of success or anything like that. I just resonated with, here's a guy who lived a life similar to mine in terms of the public eye, the flash, the glamour, the glitz, and what, I kind of felt was fake for me. Mm-hmm. Even though I wasn't faking and I was being myself, and those are all things I enjoyed at the time. But it then came to a point where it felt superficial and I just wanted to strip it all away. None of it mattered. I wanted to strip it all away. So then the timing, I think, just aligned, and I aligned with you. And I think that's really important when you're choosing, a coach or a program or whatever, because we all know there's millions out there, but it's how do you connect with the individual? Do you see yourself in their shoes? Do you, relate to them? And that's really what it was. And that's what I found interesting, because you were doing, I want to say what I wanted to do, whether that means, yes, there were times that included living in a foreign country, living off the land, actually. And, I went extreme in my thoughts where I really wanted to strip all of it away. But it was, so there was elements where I just kind of thought, I just wanted to learn more, and I wanted a commitment at the time. I knew I would learn something. And to be honest, even when I joined, I didn't even research or look into what your teachings were. I didn't even care. I was just like, I'm doing it.
Nice.
I don't know what I'm going to learn. I don't know, the logistics of what we're going to do, but I actually don't care. I was like, I want to commit to this. I want to do it. I want to learn. I know there's something that I can learn. And yeah, so that's why I did it.
Amazing. Cool.
And without hesitation.
Yeah, you were like, okay, yeah, I'm in, let's do it. And sometimes, when your intuition, when your gut tells you this feels right, no need to overthink it. I'm just going in. You went in.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you for trusting your intuition and joining. Now, having completed it was supposed to be 8 weeks. It actually turned out to be the 9-week course. What would you say your favorite lesson from the Alive Life course was?
There were so many. My very first one was definitely the life wheel. Sorry. Was definitely the wellness wheel or life wheel. I forget what you coined it as. Wheel of life. And even though I've done certain things like that before, it's been years. And so it's great to do an updated check-in. I love that because there were areas that I actually hadn't consciously thought of, even though I'm such an introspective thinker and I really analyze my own thoughts and actions and stuff like that. But that I thought was really cool because it tapped in to where I was. And to be honest, it showed me at the moment, I was actually worse off than I thought I was.
Wow.
And that's where also the lack of hesitation was in joining your program, because I feel that people also do things like this when they really need it. We don't just do it for fun or for a hobby or whatever. I feel that we reach out to people like you or join things like you, and we really don't know what else to do at that moment. And so that was one of my first lessons that I loved. And then the breath work was unreal for me. I'd never experienced anything like that. Even though I've done, some things, I've never done breath work like that. I've never gotten to a place like that. What it did physically, I found extremely fascinating. What thoughts can do to your physical body when you're not under the influence of medicinal medicines or whatever you call it, or even hypnosis or anything like that. And so that I found profound. It was a really, really unique experience and answered a boatload of questions for me.
Amazing. That's beautiful to hear. Very cool. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And from what you've learned from the Alive course, and from these lessons and the different exercises that we did, what would you say some of the big takeaways from the course have been for you, and how they impacted your life?
For starters, I think the biggest takeaway would be, if I don't put into action, it's never going to happen. So if I don't adopt the, daily practices and routines or rituals, nothing's going to happen. People, especially right now, our culture right now, there's all the manifestation and stuff like that. But a lot of people also think that manifestation is just sit here and think about and dream. Well, that's only step one. You have to actually put into action and really do the things that you want to do. So, you can sit here and go to bed and say, for me, for example, it was an organized life, a calm, organized life. Well, if I just think about it and I don't start, micromanaging what those compartments are and start acting on them, it's never going to happen. So that was a big takeaway. Another big takeaway was that everybody is going through something, and or has gone through something, and that everybody has traumas that I think we're all trying to work through. And for some people, they're debilitating. Other people's, they just kind of linger. For other people, it's formed us who we are. But everybody has it. And and also that we have something to learn from everybody. Like everybody had valuable nuggets of information to share. Whether it was simply like, I'll never forget when Zach put up that sheet, shared that sheet, the Excel sheet, and broke down the year. And then also the money thing where he said, you know, he asks himself, if someone was to pay me this dollar amount to not buy this item, would I not buy this item?
Yeah, that was
I
a
mean, for
great
me, that's
little,
valuable.
yeah, that was such a great example. Yeah, and that's, one thing I
Yeah,
love about the group dynamic is like, 12 participants, all from different lifestyles, different countries, different age demographic, different ethnic background. And yet everybody's dealing with something. And so many of you were dealing with the same issues in life. So to see all of you connect and share and provide one another with support and little nuggets of wisdom, is what I love about group coaching programs. Just bringing together like-minded people and seeing these new connections develop. So yeah, I really enjoyed everybody sharing as well. So with what you've learned from the course, it's been about a month since the course ended now. Could you share how what you've learned from the course has impacted your life? How and any benefits that's brought to your life so far?
Just doing it, starting.
Okay.
So instead of talking about it, thinking about it, being in this kind of state of, unorganized thoughts and wanting these things and not doing them, doing them. I get up, and not necessarily the mindfulness routines. I go through phases with that, with the mission, with the journaling, all that kind of stuff. I don't know that I will ever master that as a daily practice. Or I guess I will the day I decide to like fully commit. But other things, like I've committed to, my space, my personal space being spotless and organized. And so that's what I have implemented is start acting, like really start acting and doing.
Got it. So would you say it's helped you kind of get over any like procrastinating or any like?
Yes.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like taking action is absolutely key. You could have the inspiration, you could do the meditation, the breath work, the journaling, you could do all the things that you're supposed to do to manifest what you want. But until you actually put those thoughts, those ideas and dreams into action, they just stay as a dream. They never become reality. So yeah, I'm happy that you got that because it's such an important component. So
yeah.
Finally, I'd like to ask you, now that you've been through the course and you see what it has to offer, who do you think should sign up for the Live Life course? Who do you think is a good fit for what it is that we teach during our program?
I think it would be absolutely wonderful because of really everything it encompassed. I think it'd be really, really good for people who are wanting to explore their spirituality internally and externally. So for people who maybe haven't started that journey yet, who have had desires to meditate and don't know how, don't know what the channels are, none of their friends do it, so they really have nothing to feed off of, or wanting to learn ways to connect to source, that feel that something's wrong or missing in their life, but haven't ever explored that area. That's what I think it'd be really good for, is somebody at the beginning stages of the spiritual aspects of their life, and that really want to kind of strip it all away and live at peace with themselves, and dive deeper into who they are as a person. Whereas someone like yourself, or even like me, I've done that. I've started to learn who I was for years. So I think somebody who wants to understand themselves better, and who wants to just really look within, or do the shadow work, if you will, and kind of doesn't know where to start. And I think it's a great program for people like that. So to start these things that they've never thought about, they've never tried, and really need a guide or assistance to help them do that, which I think is important. I think as humans, we do need that. all we have are ourselves, the internet, which we all know is not, shouldn't always be your primary source of support or guidance or information. And maybe who don't, you know, have a family or friend support system that supports them in that journey of their life.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, it is and that's what the course was really designed for, is to help people get reconnected to themselves and connect to themselves on a deeper level that they haven't before. Because if you're going through a life transition and you're questioning your identity and questioning what you want to do next, like especially for people like yourself who are about to shift careers, well, if you're going to embark on this new venture that may last the next 10, 20 years, you want to be really sure that you're making choices that are aligned with the future that you want to create. And until you get really connected to who you are and what's important to you, it's hard to understand what you want for your future, right? So absolutely, getting connected to yourself, getting connected to spirit is so essential, in all aspects of life. So I'm glad that you feel that that is one of the important elements of the course. And yeah, I just want to say, thank you for sharing all that you did. I'm happy you were a part of the course. I'm happy you got some great results for it. And, thank you for being a contribution. You had, a lot to add. And I know everybody really enjoyed you being a part of it. So, I just want to say thank you for sharing, your experience with me, during this little testimonial video here. And do you have anything to add, anything else maybe you want to throw out there that maybe I didn't ask you about?
No, I just want to say I'm really glad I did it. As you know, I did have the one hesitation at the beginning that it was a group setting.
Right.
And I think like a lot of us were shy to, I don't know, whatever it is, even when we consider ourselves like I consider myself an open book and transparent and all this kind of stuff. But I was still, because I wanted to gain everything I possibly could, I knew that I couldn't hold back. Why would I do it? Why would I devote the time and money to do it if I wasn't going to fully give myself to fully receive what it was you were offering? And that was my only hesitation at the beginning was, wow, can I do this with 10 people that I may know, I may not know, I have this, if they do know me, they may like have this perceived notion of me or like whatever it is. And I'm just so glad I did it because it was just wonderful, and I'm glad I shared. And it was like from day one, I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel shy. And, so it was a little bit of a hurdle, I guess, that I overcame. And that always feels good when we do that.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's often what sometimes freaks people out is, oh no, I got to share in front of other people, and like to be vulnerable and to be seen and share what maybe you've been holding in can be frightening. At the same time, it's also extremely liberating to be able to just say it, put it out there, not worry about being judged, not worry about any criticism or looking bad, because everybody in the group has something to share. Everybody's going through something, and it's in your vulnerability that you create space for other people to share what they're going through as well. So I'm glad you're able to overcome that and see that, sharing in a group setting isn't anything to be afraid of. If anything, it's something that's really empowering and helps you, like you said, overcome that hurdle so that you can continue to do that in real life, right?
Yeah, and it does. And you get the added benefit of learning from everybody else as well.
Yeah.
It's not just you and I. It's now 10 people or however many people, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for being a part of it. I appreciate all that you brought to the course. And yeah, thank you again for your time. I'm happy we were able to chat and catch up. And, I'm sure many people watching this are going to get a lot of value from what you shared. So I'm thanking you in advance for the people that you're going to inspire with what you've shared. So thank you, VAVA.
Thank you. Thank you again for everything.
My pleasure. Truly my pleasure.